Paul asked me if I had seen anybody from the Go-Go's that had showed up because you were opening.
We were opening for them, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
You guys played Magic Mountain?
Yeah.
Opening for the Go-Go's.
Opening for the Go-Go's.
She said that wasn't on the resume, fellas, so we gotta get, someone's gotta put that on.
Yeah.
They missed that.
It was a one-off.
It was a one-off.
Yeah, I really got to get to the bathroom.
But actually, what was great about that is we got to go on all the rides, you know. For free, and like
it was like being Michael Jackson.
All the snow cones you can eat. It's a great gig. They're going to be at Knott's Berry Farm this weekend, Sarah. If you want to catch them down there, the Good Time Bear Jamboree Theater.
They used to do that show.
I almost missed my high school graduation because I had gone to their hotel in 1984.
Okay, that'll be enough.
That'll be enough now. Next call, please.
Well, I brought you Mickey Mouse sweatshirts.
We're wearing them.
You were the one with the two hands.
Right, you got Tim a T-shirt. He gave you crabs. Everyone was happy.
Oh, that's lovely. And so, did you have a question about Mickey Mouse or something?
That I will be seeing you tomorrow at the Mayan.
Oh, cool.
And I'll be bringing dead flowers for the floor, so I hope that you sing my all-time favorite.
Yeah. Which is Dead Flowers on the Floor.
Yes. Do you remember I used to bring them?
You're not talking about the Smiths, are you?
No, I used to bring you dead flowers and you used to rip them up.
Yeah, I do remember you.
Yeah, we're talking about that during the commercials, Sarah.
And Michael, I wanted to just make a comment that I heard you on Rosie O'Donnell about the girl who had did her little version of Need You Tonight.
You can do it, can't you?
No,
Can you do
I
it?
have an African gray parrot that whistles don't change.
Oh, no, really?
Put him on the phone.
I won't do it on cue, but I do have one. But I just want to add that to your list.
Can you get a recording of that?
Thank you.
You know what? I will,
And bring it tomorrow and throw it on stage for us. Got to hear that.
Okay, I'll
We'll
do
sample
that.
it and use it.
All right, Sarah.
I just wanted to tell you I'm the ultimate INXS fan.
All right. Settle down,
Thanks,
please.
Sarah.
Please.
Hey, do you have any love problems?
No.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Boy, she was just in an arrested state of development.
Yeah,
She was like it was 1981 all over again.
Still, close your eyes. She's still 14.
Exactly.
Who knew? What a great way to go through life. She's
I think
still
it's
the little girl
fantastic.
from Magic Mountain.
You guys might make fun of her, but I think she's the greatest thing on earth. I love her.
All right then.
Don, 29. God knows what she had to do to that parrot to get him to whistle the INXS
Imagine how many
song.
times she listened to it.
Oh, boy, you don't want to know where that hot prod went. Don?
Yeah.
What's your question?
Don, you're talking to Don Juan.
Yeah. No, not exactly. My question was for Dr. Drew.
Yeah.
But INXS, your vocals are great. Your music is wonderful. I like it.
Thank you
do a
very
great
much.
job. For Drew, basically...
His vocal isn't any good.
Well, no, actually, you give pretty good sound advice, so I've got a question for you.
All right.
I was in the military when I was 17, wound up infected with HIV as a result of my medical experience. I was working in the hospital. And
you were one of the healthcare worker?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
How do you get into the military at 17, by the way?
Your mother signed you off.
Oh.
You don't get along with your mother.
She must have hated you. Yeah, give it to me. I'll sign it. I hope he goes to the front.
Something like that. Yeah. Well, anyway, what happened is I was 17. I found out I was HIV positive. Luckily, after I'd been confined for 90 days as a result for being 15 minutes late for work, and I sort of. I got into this funk kind of where I just didn't want to have sex with anybody because I was afraid of transmitting it to another person.
Yeah, sure.
So ultimately what happened is I wound up isolated because I don't pursue relationships, I don't pursue anything of that nature, and I was interested in the idea of possibly, castration as just sort of being able to give myself permission to pursue a relationship again, and knowing, if in fact it is true that, I wouldn't be able to transmit it through sex.
Your fantasy is that you wouldn't produce semen anymore if they took your testes off.
Exactly.
That's just a fantasy.
You're not a bull.
That's not the fact. It doesn't work like that.
It works for me.
Can you imagine that? The surgeon coming in, good news, the castration was a complete success. Bad news, you still got AIDS and it didn't make a lick of difference.
Bad news, don't hold a red piece of material in front of him.
Don, have you ever availed yourself of any of the HIV support groups?
Well, actually, I have. I've been through pretty extensive, research and things of that nature. I attended a program at NIH, and
I'm not talking about research. I'm talking about connecting with peers with the same illness.
Yeah, well, I've done that. It's a big meat market. You know, everybody wants you to drop your pants and bend over the local table, but I'm not into that. And
are you not into that?
Where is this
market?
Where is this place?
Hang on a second.
You get the 10 items or less line, and you're in good shape.
Are you gay?
Market. I'm not homosexual per se. I guess basically I'm not overly attracted to men. You know, have
you had any homosexual experiences?
Not what you would call a male sexual experience. Like group jerk-offs and things like that. You know, that's stuff that you're growing up.
Here's the deal. First of all, eliminating your sexual emissions and drives are not going to eliminate your need to be connected with another human being and have relationships.
Exactly.
And people with HIV carry on very successful relationships. That's why I think you ought to get involved. What city are you in?
Up near Flint, Michigan.
Michigan. Most big cities have HIV organizations, like AIDS projects and things. And they are people that help you form relationships and teach you how to conduct yourself in such a way and meet people.
Well, I think the problem I have with that is I'm not necessarily interested in meeting another person that's HIV infected. I don't want to be
I'm not saying HIV. That is not... You obviously have not had any involvement with these organizations.
Well,
that is not what I'm talking about at all.
Well, I did attend a support group in Philadelphia, which...
I'm not talking about a symposium. I'm talking about a regular relationship with an organization that helps people with HIV.
You're talking to a guy who wanted to cut his nuts off 5 minutes ago.
If you remember the HIV counselors we had in here? The one woman was HIV positive, had been for years. She's going to get married. To a non-HIV positive guy.
She was?
Or she's already married, I think it was.
I don't remember that part.
And it's very common. And look, first of all, I would make two recommendations. We can't go on all night here. One is... I hope you're on triple therapy, are you?
No, I'm not taking any medications.
Why not?
I'm pretty healthy, actually. I've been.
If you've researched things so much, you would have found so clearly that the triple therapy is dramatically changing this disease, and that people can live very long periods of time with suppression of the viral replication.
Right.
And they're having great success with that. Now, for me, you can put me on that the moment I got infected, if I were infected with it. I don't care how sick the medicine made me.
You should play it safe and start now.
Yeah. And two...
I'll have some too, Drew. I don't know where I've been.
Avail yourself.
You guys could start too.
Of organizations which help people with HIV. There are some very high-quality organizations. Los Angeles, we're fortunate, AIDS Project Los Angeles. Don has got more than just the HIV going on, I suspect.
Yes. He really needs more than the castration. I think he needs a lobotomy first, and then he should think about the castration. All right. I feel bad for his predicament, but boy, he was coming from a lot of different angles. Don was, but Drew.
He sounds very positive, though. I got to say, he kind of sounds quite up and for someone that. It seems is not really actually knowing a great deal about what's going on with it, but seems pretty good with it.
Wouldn't Drew? I know this is this is a sort of morbid thought or something. But why can't everyone with AIDS who has AIDS just get together and get it on? I mean, aren't there groups? I mean, no. But seriously, you have AIDS. You're having difficulty meeting people without AIDS and having a normal sexual relation. Aren't there places where other people that are infected could get together and not have the risk of spreading the disease?
I don't know the accurate answer to that, but I think there's concerns about sort of different types of virus and exposing one another to opportunistic infections that one may have.
Okay. All right. All right, let's move on to happier thoughts, namely INXS and Elegantly Wasted, and Don't Lose Your Head is what we will hear right after the break. Don't Lose Your Head off of Elegantly Wasted by INXS, in a very full-sounding song, I might say. Some of your stuff has been sort of minimalist, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but...
a lot of the stuff on the album is actually quite minimalist, really. That's one of the more... full-on songs. I mean, a lot of it was recorded when Andrew and I were writing it, and we'd just be in hotel rooms and set it up, equipment, and
like that in that song. It's just the loops we had and the drum box and stuff until the solo comes in, and then the band comes on top of it.
And you're in a hotel because you're on the road, or because
we just get together and go to Dublin or wherever we went to, and just get together on weekends whenever we want to, like over about 9 months.
Right, and
a lot of it we kept, so all that sort of raw stuff out of the rooms, the hotel suites.
Oh yes, yes. You're not on the first floor. No.
Quite actually, we were on the first floor.
Yeah, but you get the whole floor.
And by the way, we're never allowed to stay in those hotels again.
And everyone else has to go to the basement.
That's right.
All right. What am I missing, Drew?
The heady discussion we were having before.
I started this discussion.
Yes, Kurt.
What's up? It's just been a problem. I mean, it's my turn to call in. I'm caller number 3 here. I've never understood in all my relationships with girls and wives, and I've had many wives and girls.
You're good at wives.
I know. Yeah. Why the male is expected to lift the toilet seat and put it down after you've used.
Yeah, why
the toilet? Why can't we all have just I lift it up and she puts it down?
Right. I have a couple of strong feelings on this. First off, yes, the toilet seat should be just like the car seat. If you and your wife or you and your girlfriend share the car. When she drives it, she hikes it up. When you do it, you slide it back, and whoever's driving it just adjusts it to how to what suits them.
This is what one would think.
And there's two things going on. I learned the truth about this because I always figured not only why is it our job to lift it when it's not
women put it up?
Right.
When they finish using
our job to set it right.
This was my first
We lift the lid.
Where did that voice come from?
That was producer Ann.
We lift the lid.
Well, then can you move into my house?
It doesn't look good when it's up.
No, I agree. I agree, but I'm just saying I don't mind
really
putting it up.
It's tough on your back to be lifting that thing up and down.
Well,
especially got one of those wooden ones,
This is my first break in the movie business. I was a detective about this whole thing.
But I had a traumatic experience. Here's what cured me of that. Is my wife, pregnant with triplets, fell in the toilet because of my inability to put the thing down.
Wow.
I have not put it down ever since.
Of a real doctor.
Wow.
That's right. So, and got hepatitis, tragically, from her bout in the toilet bowl. No, here's why. It has become a symbolic rallying call for women, all women, to get around. Yeah. Because, let's face it, men, they sort of rule the roost. They've been abusers throughout history.
This is their way of getting back.
This is the one thing that they can all focus on and sort of compensate with. You had sex with my sister, you're an alcoholic, you haven't worked in a year and a half, you put the goddamn seat down when you're done. You see that?
The wrath of a woman. The wrath of a woman landing on, the bowl without a seat on is definitely, I think that's probably why we all put it up and down.
And here,
speaking from experience, I don't know, but Kirk, you must know more about that than I do.
I guess I do.
Put it down.
Oh, do you?
You take a leak.
Walter Raleigh over here puts the seat down.
You take a leak with it down.
Even for the housekeeping, I feel really bad.
Really? Chivalry is not dead in the Ferris household.
That's
all right, but here is the main thing that we don't know about, and that women don't say. Women go into the bathroom at night with the light off and do their business. Guys cannot do that unless you have a really good housekeeper. But guys cannot go in and do their business. They have to flick the light on. So what happens with women is they wander in, the light is off, they think they're sitting down on the seat, and they catch the cold, eerie sting.
Unless you're hung like us.
Yes. Of the ball.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've just quickly got to tell you a story.
Unless you're Australian. That's right.
I can quickly tell you a story about myself in Chicago the other night. I went to bed quite late and had this calling for the bathroom, and went to the bathroom and opened the door, and suddenly the door closed behind me. And I suddenly realized I was in the hallway of the hotel, completely naked, no key, no glasses,
and needing a kiss,
and needing a leak.
Oh my God!
It was funny.
We got a true story.
Naked in the hallway.
Glamour of rock and roll.
Ah, yes.
I'm not proud of this, but I have relieved myself in an ice maker in a hallway of a hotel.
I won't continue the story at this moment.
Was it in Mexico?
I vomited in an ice maker in Mexico, but I urinated in an ice maker maker in
because I had
Orange
some
County.
ice that tasted really weird one time.
Yes.
Remind me to get a list of all the hotels you've ever stayed in, Adam, and not go there.
Well, I know we're running late for break here, but seriously, here's the way the bladder works. Your bladder has an
My favorite subject.
Has you know how women have an internal clock? Men have one internal clock. It's in the bladder. And the way it works is, like, when you're driving home and you have to pee, your bladder knows the difference between 5 miles and 5 blocks.
Totally. I got another story for you in a minute.
And when you start heading down the off ramp and you start going to the house, the apartment, whatever it is, your bladder says, okay, 1 minute till blast off, and it starts going. And as you're fumbling with the keys to get in it, now it's 20 seconds. And as you go through the living room and yell to your wife or your girlfriend, can't talk. Heading for the head. It's now at 10 seconds, and as the zipper goes down, it sometimes already starts with me. Now, when you start the clock, there's no resetting it. It's like the self-destruct button on those on the spaceships in the sci-fi movies. Once once it's engaged, that's it. So I engaged mine in the lobby. With about 2.5 minutes, and when the key wouldn't work on the 15th floor, that was it.
That's it.
It's 5 seconds to urination time. It was either potted plant, someone who passed out,
I feel really sorry for you.
Or
I practice that all the time.
Oh, do you? The timing?
Medically, it's actually, isn't it quite dangerous for women to hold on, like medically or something?
Let's find out after this.
Back with INXS, and when we're speaking last, we were talking about urine and urine-related syndromes, and Kirk just wanted to finish off with a little ditty of his own.
I really wanted to talk about it off air, not on
I see. All right,
let me finish.
It was a little accident.
Let me finish. Women, we asked a question about women and retaining their urine. And yes, that could potentially help predispose to urine infections for women. So that's an issue.
All right, let's get back to Kirk wedding specs.
Hold on. Also, we got a very nice call from a law student who wanted to point out that for people that do need legal advice, we had a call earlier where that was suggested. And apparently most of the law schools in California, at least, operate free clinics on family law, child support, domestic violence, and are multilingual.
Really? And it didn't even sound like you're reading that, Drew. That was wonderful. Absolutely.
He's like that, isn't he?
All right, so there's you can get some pro bono support from the colleges. Now,
law schools.
Law schools. Kirk,
tell us the urine story, mate.
It's really not a nice story, but I fell over on a yacht and severed...
Oh, not that story.
Severed what?
Severed all the plumbing, basically.
Really?
All the guy plumbing, yeah.
And did you have to use a bag or something?
Yeah, for over a month. And
really?
Wait a minute, what did you sever?
Everything in the perineum area. Perineum.
Did you have you lacerated in the perineum?
Drew suddenly perks up.
I mean, that's a phenomenal injury.
It was. It was micro, surgery and.
I mean, I want you to understand. Adam.
Do you understand that
he was disconnected from his schwanz?
Oh my God!
But what made me think about it was because we were talking about urinating.
If you're telling any woman about the story about the operation on your penis, don't say microsurgery.
No, it wasn't on my penis.
It
was not on my penis.
No, it was everything. He was disconnected. It was in the paint area. It was all.
Yeah, seriously, hand in the pocket stuff.
Now
nothing worked
because what did you do? Fall on?
I fell on a winch.
Oh.
And it was anyway. I really didn't want to go into it.
Oh, it's a horrible injury.
But what reminded me? What brought it?
You're so lucky that everything's working again.
Well, 90% ish. But
can I see the scar?
Any girl out there who wants to see if I'm sorry.
So what happened?
Just joking. Tell us the story. What made me think of it anyway? Because we were talking about urinating. Was that after the accident when I finally made it back to shore and drove myself to a hospital?
Oh my God!
I was busting for a pee. And I took a pee, and nothing came out.
And where did it...
Who did that?
Where did it come out?
It was inside me.
Put it this way, you could put the toilet
because there was no pipes connected.
Right.
I didn't need a toilet seat anymore.
You could use the toit for a plant holder. Are you kidding?
Was that painful?
What?
Was that painful?
It was painful holding on.
Nuts.
But when I was... I just...
They didn't catheterize you?
Just thinking about it is painful.
This is really weird.
They didn't catheterize you?
No, I hadn't even got to the hospital. I was in a boat. I had to travel 2 hours.
Oh, my my God.
Like, this is one day, I'll write it in my diaries, okay, because it was an incredible story.
And you're on the boat with a few people?
With my wife at the time.
At the time.
At the time. Anyway.
More tragic.
I was, this was quite a long scenario before I actually got to shore to get in a car and drive myself to hospital.
I'm never going to boat again.
It happened to me once, but I got over it really quickly.
What was really weird was that I was busting to take a pee. What do you call it? I don't know.
Yeah.
And finally we hit the shore, and the guy that I hired the boat off, he said, take my car, go, and I went to the car and I went...
Were you bleeding? It was a laceration?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
I whacked it out, and started urinating as I thought, and I'm going, this feels so good. But nothing came out.
I mean, your ass was getting bigger, but nothing came out.
I had new balls.
Oh, my God.
It was quite an amazing...
every night.
This man is a hero.
I am an amazing human being. I am not an animal.
But you should have heard how his wife saved him.
Excuse me? That was another one.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, let's go to someone else's problem, not mine.
You urinated in a bag for a number of months, right?
For about 6 weeks.
Now, were you catheterized? Is that what happened up the urethra?
And the funny thing was, because it was, I could go on for hours about this whole story.
Yes,
because it's quite amazing. It is quite amazing. But they, I piled into this hospital, this suburban public hospital called Monavale, and in sort of Sydney, in northern beaches of Sydney. And anyway, there was, of course, no proper doctors, no urethologists and all that sort of stuff. So they're just going bonk. And stuck this thing into my bladder,
Right.
Through your abdomen.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Is that like the cocktail umbrella?
Anyway, the guy that was doing it was not trained, and it was like, next, pull it out and do it again. It just goes on and on. It goes on. Luckily, I managed to get onto a fantastic surgeon who I'm going to marry if he changes sex, and
or if you help him, or if
he makes me real good.
If you have a few more beers, I think he doesn't have to change sex.
Yeah, that's true. He's looking better already.
All right,
Dr. Wong.
God help me.
He wasn't Wong.
God bless this man for doing his microsurgery.
Then there was the glaucoma thing I had. Anyway, okay. Next caller. It's amazing I'm still alive.
Were you unable to masturbate for all this time, or was there a separate bag for semen?
That's a good point. No, but one of the nurses was goddamn cute.
He was
out of action.
Oh, really?
Completely. I know it's hard for you to die. It's a mind-warping thought for you, but yes, he was able to hold back to heal.
Oh, and I can just hear it in the news tomorrow. INXS album sales plummet.
Oh no! This,
help me there.
This is going to sell. This is going to move product. Believe me. This is good radio. Whenever there's a lacerated genitalia, it's always good radio.
He doesn't quite get it, does he?
No, the slice was underneath the testicles?
Yeah, behind.
Behind. Oh, between, as I like to say, Scrotumburg and Anusville. It was right on the border there.
Between the first hole from the back of the neck and...
They were. Oh, you're like a change purse.
Maginot line created in the border.
Anyway, next call.
I heard. All right, Pauline.
Hi.
Hey, you're 25.
So what's your problem, Pauline?
She really has the same... she has the same thing going that you had, actually. But there's no need to fix it, Pauline.
Come on, Pauline.
Hey, I don't have a problem.
All right. Why'd you call?
Because that stupid-ass girl about masturbation.
Oh,
yes.
In my sexual experience, men who have masturbated are better in bed than those who haven't.
Yes.
I don't understand how she could have found a man that doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm wondering
she meant
too.
that girl's...
The ones that admit to it, you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. The ones that do it in front of you.
Well, I don't care to watch it. But
I know lots of girls that just love that.
Oh, yes. They take it as a compliment. They do for like the first 10 times, and then it gets, okay, baby. Please.
It's a little sad.
Shut the goddamn TV off and make love to me, would you?
I don't think so. But I think
I didn't get it.
Stupid.
All right. Is that your comment?
It is my comment.
All right. Thank you. Last call. Michelle, 21.
Real quick, Michelle.
Okay. I was recently diagnosed with a disease called scleroderma, and I don't know what it comes from. I know that it stems from the immune system. The strain I have is it's evident. Well,
true. What are we doing going out on this call?
Let me answer her question. We have to answer her question.
Why don't you get it off the air?
Why?
No, because first off, my groin hurts from listening to Kurt.
All right, is it scleroderma or crest? Real quick.
It's called INXS. It's like somebody took a knife and cut into my face.
Okay, you have coup de sab.
Yes.
You have scleroderma of the skin.
Yes, I do.
It's also called morphea, okay? That is an isolated phenomenon. It is usually not associated with something more serious, which is called pansystemic sclerosis, which is the kind of scleroderma that's now being associated with breast implants, that kind of thing, which is a progressive disease. Morphea is isolated to the skin. There's a third syndrome called Crest syndrome, which is more benign than scleroderma or pansystemic sclerosis, associated with thinning of the fingers, esophageal disease, and Raynaud's phenomenon. But it sounds like she has morphea. She's going to be fine. Coup de sab is just like, French. Coup de sab is a cut, like a cut across the face. It looks like.
Right. And the coup de grace is the cut. Well, I don't have to say where that is. All right. We'll be back with INXS after this.